C. Where did we stop the previous day? Oh, sorry, 10C. Still remind. I'm thinking of. No answer. 10C.
Sir, we will start outstanding research.
That's what I said at the beginning.
Yes.
I've written the date. Okay. So the three outstanding leaders were that they were known as the trio, Lal, Bal, Pal. And I hope I told you the meaning of this. Who were the three? Who can guess who were the three leaders?
Sir, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, one was
Very
Bipin
good.
Chandra Pal, and another was Lala Lajpat Rai.
Very good. So you have the three leaders there. Now first we will take up Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So it is Tilak who was really considered as the leader who started an anti-imperialist movement, a movement against the British. It was he who demanded Swaraj. Now here Swaraj means complete independence. Then let us see Tilak's contribution to the freedom struggle. First, he strongly believed in Swaraj and he said, Swaraj is my birthright and I will have it. So it was Tilak who was a strong supporter of Swaraj, that is complete independence. Then it was Tilak and rather the assertive nationalists who had pressed the demand of Swaraj and promoted. So it is said that the battle cry against the movement was Swaraj and Swadeshi together. The first thing what we see is children, let me find the slide so that I can explain to you what exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the first point is that he believed in Swaraj and Swadeshi. He believed that Swaraj is a birthright. Nobody can take it. We cannot be slaves to any imperialist power. So we should unite against the imperialist, that is Britannia. He also promoted, like Surendranath Banerjee and others, Swadeshi. He wanted India to be self-reliant, not to depend on other countries. Therefore, he promoted Swadeshi in. Number two, believed that reforms would be secured by pressure on the government. Therefore, he made bitter attacks on the government through his newspaper, Maratha and Kesari. He said political rights will have to be fought for. Therefore, he made bitter attacks on the government through his newspaper. Third, he organized, or rather started, the Ganpati and Shivaji festivals. Why did he do so? To instill patriotism. See, whenever these festivals were organized, people came and met at these places, and then they were briefed about India's position, how the British are taking advantage of the people, they're charging high rates, we have to fight for a nation. So they started to teach the mass to fight against the British. Not only they were briefed about the injustices, but also they, he organized akharas. I hope you know the meaning of akhara.
Yes, sir.
Yes, where people were trained to fight. Lathi clubs, so he organized akharas and Lathi clubs. Trained the youths to fight against the British. If they use force, these youths could also use force. Number 3. Number 4, he led a no rent campaign. That means he asked the cultivators, the farmers, not to pay any rent, or rather land revenue to the government, because the land revenue was very high and the government at times failed to provide relief work, especially at times of famine or plague. This happened in Maharashtra. Therefore, Tilak told the cultivators not to pay land revenue. Then he transformed the anti-partition movement into a national movement. Bengal was partitioned. So it was Tilak who played a very important role in changing this, transforming it into anti-partition movement, into a national movement. He went to different places and he encouraged people to take part in this. Therefore, this partitioning of Bengal was taken as an insult by the Indians. Therefore, it became a national movement. People of different states supported this movement. Then he launched the Home Rule movement. Now, what is this Home Rule movement? During the World War I, almost all the parties had become silent because now these parties decided to support Britain in their war effort, because Britain was fighting a war, and therefore the political parties in India supported Britain in the hope they would be given dominion status. Gandhiji also supported this. So all the political activities came to standstill. None of the parties protested against the government. So during this time, that Tilak and Annie Besant, they started the Home Rule movement, protesting against the government. Therefore, when all political parties were silent, the Home Rule movement infused the people, the youth, we can call, with new strength and vigor to fight against the British, especially at a time when no political activities were protesting. And it was during this time he was given the title Lok Manya. That means he was respected by all people. And they said he was almost worshipped like a god. Therefore, he launched the Home Rule movement against the British during the World War, when all political parties were silent. They did not protest. Now, Tilak is also known as the forerunner of Gandhi. Earlier, we knew Gokhale was known as the political guru. And now Tilak is considered as the forerunner of Gandhi. The reason? Swadeshi and boycott was actually launched by Tilak, and later on used by Gandhi to fight against the British Raj. So Tilak is considered as the forerunner of Gandhi. Now let me ask you a question. Why is Gokhale considered as the political guru of Gandhi?
Because he was responsible for bringing Gandhiji back.
Okay, that is true. He was responsible for bringing Gandhi from South
South
Africa. But most important was that with regard to use of ahimsa. Yes, Ishan has written right. That is the answer. Because of his ideals of truth and non-violence. Gokhale believed in non-violence, ahimsa. Gandhiji also followed this. That is why Gokhale is known as the what?
Political guru of Gandhi.
Political guru. Yes. So sometimes you get a question who is considered as the political guru, and a good number of students get confused. So if you remember the word FAT, the forerunner, and T for Tilak, you will never make a mistake, or FT. And for political guru, you can devise a word PG. If you remember PG, you will remember political guru was Gokhale. Yeah, G is for Gokhale. So FT and PG. That is about the contribution of Tilak. Next, we come to another important leader, Bipin Chandra Pal. He is considered as the prophet of bold, self-reliant nationalism. Because it was Bipin Chandra Pal who infused among the people that if India wants freedom, they have to take up bold measures against the British. So he is considered as the prophet of bold, self-reliant nationalism. And let us see what were his contributions. Number one, the book says his role in national awakening national consciousness in India. Therefore, he pleaded that the Arms Act should be repealed. Number one, because it was injustice to the Indians. The Indians were not, even if they had a proper license, they were caught on some pretext and sent to the jail, arrested, whereas the Europeans were free. Therefore, he directly raised his voice against the Arms Act. He said it should be repealed, it should be cancelled. Second, asked the people to make sacrifice for the country because he believed in bold nationalism. He told the people, we have to make sacrifices. And in one of the articles that he had published, he had written, individuals are born, individuals die, but the nation liveth forever. So he encouraged the people to fight for the nation and die for a glorious cause. This instilled new vigor in the youth. They followed him blindly. Then, third, spread the message of Swadeshi and boycott. See, most of the assertive nationalists, they promoted Swaraj, they promoted Swadeshi and boycott. So Bipin Chandra Pal, he also promoted this. It was during the anti-partition movement that he went to different places of Bengal and told the people to boycott and at the same time promote Swadeshi. Next, refused to give evidence against Aurobindo Ghosh. Now, when the British had captured Aurobindo Ghosh for promoting militancy. Remember, Aurobindo Ghosh, the Ghosh brothers were training the youth to use bombs and weapons. So Aurobindo Ghosh was was told to give evidence that you know that Ghosh is involved in such activities. Bipin Chandra Pal refused to give any evidence. For this, he was sent to 6 months in jail. He was imprisoned for 6 months. Therefore, he could have said and he escaped, but since he believed in bold nationalism, he didn't want a leader to be sacrificed. He himself went to the jail, but was released later on 9th March 1908. He said that national education should arouse nationalistic passion against foreign rule. The pattern of education should be such that when the students read, they should get a feeling that they have to fight for the nation, they have to do something for the nation. They should arouse nationalistic passion, just not mere knowledge of the subject, but certain things should be included so as to arouse nationalistic passion against foreign rule. Then he was of the opinion that Indians should resort to sterner measures. Indians should resort to bold measures, just not boycott and Swadeshi. If required, they could use force. He wanted Swadeshi and boycott to become the means of national freedom. Thus, he urged the people strongly to boycott anything British, so that pressure could be put upon the British government, the British Parliament, the British traders, because they would suffer a huge loss due to boycott. Therefore, the government might revoke the partition of Bengal. Therefore, he wanted the Swadeshi and boycott to become the means of national freedom. Next, the numbering is wrong, I believe. Let me check. The first was 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And here we have okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. The numbering is wrong. 7. Okay, the last. To eradicate poverty, he proposed, because India at that time was a poor nation, the British did not open any industries as such. Therefore, he believed poverty has to be eradicated. Indians should, those rich Indian businessmen should come forward, establish a number of industries. He also gave the idea that the rich people should be taxed, and the money generated from this could be used for eradicating poverty. So he was concerned with the nation's freedom. At the same time, he wanted poverty to be eradicated from the country, to give employment to the people. That is all about Bipin Chandra Pal. Next, Lala Lajpat Rai. He called upon men and women to fight repression with full strength. Therefore, he wanted not only the men but also the freedom. He encouraged both. He was of the opinion both men and women could contribute to India's freedom. Okay, next. At the Kolkata session, he adopted a resolution of non-cooperation, not to cooperate with British in any matter. It was at the Kolkata session when The Congress adopted this resolution non-cooperation, not to cooperate with the government in any. Number three, formed the Nationalist Party to contest elections to the Legislative Council. See, on one side he said, we should protest against the government. At the same time, he believed that the people should be a part of the government. In the sense, if legislative council, they could put their matter. He also believed that people should fight the government from within by being a part of the government and protest against the wrong policies of the government. Then the last part of the text, what is there? Led a demonstration against the Simon Commission. The Simon Commission had come to India implementation by the government. Now, since all the members of Simon Commissions were Europeans, not a single Indian was there in the commission. Therefore, what we see that there were protests all over India. People raised black flags. They hoisted black flags. And Lala Lajpat Rai, he protested in Lahore. What happened in this protest? He was beaten very badly and he received head injuries. Because of this, he could not recover and he died. Because of this contribution, because of his valor, he is known as Ch-4 Punjab. He protested against the Simon Commission. He sustained a number of head injuries and he died. So he is known as Ch-4 Punjab. It was a big contribution. He sacrificed his life. He was the first Indian to write and make the people aware of the problems of socialism and labor organization. He was a good writer, not only through his work, but also not through his speeches, but also through his writings. He tried to raise the problems of India and made the people aware of socialism and labor organization. Wherever there are factories, there should be organization to protest against the injustice. In other words, he believed in socialism. That is all about the three assertive nationalists. That is Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Lala Lajpat Rai. Okay, children. So with this, we complete this chapter. Now, children, please look at page number 143. You get a question that is comparative study between the assertive nationalists and the moderates. The first thing is the basic belief. The early nationalists, they had unlimited faith in the British sense of justice. They also believed if the British remains in India, it would benefit India. That was their main belief. Whereas the assertive nationalists, they did not believe, they had no faith in the British sense of justice and fair play. They considered rule was the main cause of India's backwardness. The early nationalists believed in prayer and petition, writing resolutions, whereas the assertive nationalists believed in confrontation, opposition, resistance, use pressure tactics, and direct action if required, directly fight. Then another belief is that they believed in self-reliance and self-determination, which the moderates did not, or they lacked this particular thing, that is self-reliance, because they believed India depended on the British. The longer they stay, they would lose, or they would change India, they would benefit India. Whereas the British believed that the Indians should be ruled by Indians. So these are the beliefs of the assertive nationalists. Second is with regard to attainment of Swaraj. How should Swaraj be attained? We have discussed this. The early nationalists, that is the moderate, believed in dominion status, means a government formed by the people, but they will be under the British, just like Canada and Australia were under the British Commonwealth. That is what the assertives believed. Sorry, the early nationalists. They wanted dominion status. Whereas the assertives wanted complete independence, complete Swaraj. And the methods were also different. The early nationalists believed they did not believe in certain things. They rather believed we should use constitutional methods. The leader should use constitutional methods and not put pressure on the government. If they have to put pressure, it would be through constitutional means, resolutions, writing letters, etc. Whereas the assertive nationalists believe in revivalism. That is why they presented Shivaji, Rana Pratap, and Chandragupta as national heroes. They organized festivals to promote, to make the people realize about the contribution of such national heroes. So they revived the old glory of India. Secondly, they popularized Swadeshi. Third, they believe boycott to be an effective tool against imperialism. Boycott here means foreign goods, government services, etc. And last, they wanted that the national education should be based on such a way that it would not only promote consciousness among the people with regard to nationalism, but at the same time, it should teach the people certain vocations. Vocation means certain things which they would learn and use it in their life, get an employment. So they promote national education, therefore they open a number of schools at that time. The schools taught them vocational education. Schools also inspired people to raise their voice against imperialism. But education was also their one of the main aims, promotion of national education. So remember, children, you get a comparative question.
11:25 के बाद ऐसे क्यों तुम
क्या बोल रहा है
11:25
अभी मेरे क्लास
कहाँ क्लास है दिखाओ
35 में
दिखाओ टाइम टेबल दिखाओ ना अपना
इसमें
Contribution of the leaders, both. If you're making short notes, you make a comparative study, and then contribution of all the leaders, 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Because if you forget at least 1 or 2, you can still remember 2. So with this, we come to the end of this lesson. Next lesson is a short lesson we will take up later on. But now, please mark your attendance. And then we will continue with any doubts if you have. First, market and digital policies. What
Sir, may I?
measures?
Sir, may I?
Ankush. Yes, Ankush.
Corporation Act of 1899, which reduced the strength of elected members of India,
Okay.
and another was the Universities Act of 904.
Okay, very good. So you can write in short Calcutta Corporation Act and University Act. Sometimes you might get confused with the dates. Even if you write this Calcutta Corporation Act and Universities Act, it is accepted. Thank you. Next question. When and by whom was Bengal partitioned?
Sir, in 905 by Lord Curzon, the Bengal was divided.
Yeah, it would be better if you give the date. What was the
905,
date?
sir. 905.
Day, month. 16th? Yes, 16 what? The day of mourning?
October, sir.
16th October. Yes, very good. Next question. Others, please join. How did Lord Curzon justify the partition of Bengal? What reason did the British give?
Sir, so that it could be administered properly.
Yes. Bengal was too large to be administered by a single provincial government. Bengal was too large to be administered by a single government. Therefore, it should be divided into two parts. Very good. Thank you, Srishti. Number 4. What were Curzon's two real motives behind the partition? What was the real motive?
May I?
Okay. Others, wait, Nandini has raised the hand. Nandini. Okay, Nandini, yes. Yes, Nandini.
The two real motives were that the government regarded the size of the province of Bengal to be too large to be properly administered by the single provincial government. So the idea of reducing the size of the province was mooted from time to time. That is why the Bengal was partitioned. And the
Okay, Nandini, 1 minute. Real motive, the word is real. Why? The real motive is the one which you are telling too large. It is the British.
Sir, it was given.
Wait, let Nandini try if she knows. Nandini, real motive.
Then I don't know. Sir, may I?
Okay, Nandini, after these two motives, we have 3 points there. Please check. Okay, Nanya. Yes, Nanya.
Sir, to strike at the roots of Bengali nationalism and to demonstrate the strength of the British Raj.
Very good. Vristi has also written in the chat. You can write in the chat. So there are 3 reasons to strike at the roots of Bengali nationalism, to drive a wedge between the Hindus and Muslims, and the one which I've missed out is to demonstrate the strength of the British Raj. 3 points are there in your old book, is page 137 and 136. Good. Thank you, Nanya. Next, Vristi, I would want you to answer this question. How did the Bengalis feel about the partition of Bengal? And mention briefly how did the people react? It is the same. Vristi, would you like to try? Or anyone would like to try?
May I, sir?
Yes,
So
Ankush.
this was the first
Yes,
time.
Wait, Ankush. Vristi has. Yes, Vristi.
So this was the first time that the students took part in the what we say rallies. They protested against the government. So I don't know exactly.
Okay, let me help you, children, here because sometimes you make mistake. I realize this is one question. They believe that they had been insulted, humiliated, and tricked. This was a general feeling. They felt they had been insulted, humiliated, and tricked. And then you can write about They celebrated 16th October as day of mourning. People met at federation halls. Students took out processions. So these are the reactions. But you add to it, they felt as if they had been, number one, insulted, number two, humiliated, and number three, tricked. You have to add these lines: insulted, humiliated, and tricked. I hope it's
Okay,
clear,
sir.
Vrishti, now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Vrishti. Next question, number 7. Name any two Bengali leaders who led the anti-partition movement. Last question, and after that we'll wind up. Two
May I-
Bengali leaders.
Sir, may I-
Yes, Ankush.
Surendranath Banerjee. Surendranath Banerjee and Aurobindo Ghosh.
Very good. Aurobindo Ghosh, you have B.C. Pal, Bipin Chandra Pal, and K.K. Mitra, all were Bengali leaders. So we stopped at here, students, today. Next we will discuss the question answers. You have another period, I believe. So thank you, children.